I'm going to be very reasonable. I don't expect much, especially against this. They've given him the toughest task. If they say they graded him, Skip, with the fourth best rookie performance quarterback
out of 33,
well, this is the toughest task of all the other quarterbacks that have had to face in the NFL.
Yep.
Look, I just don't I don't know what they really expect. It's because, Skip, I could see if they were loaded with talent. You could see with Tampa saying, hold on, yeah, Jameis threw for over 5,000 with fifth or sixth best performance in history. Yeah, he threw for 33 touchdowns. But, man, we turned the ball over. If we get somebody that can just take care of the ball half that good, we'd be okay. I get that. But, Skip, when you look at the Eagles, okay, Jalen, we want you to come in, but we want you to throw to the same talent or lack thereof. We want you to play behind that same bad offensive line. But we expect better production against arguably the best team in the NFC and one of the top 2 or 3 teams in all the league. And that's what you're asking Jalen Hurts, a rookie, to do. So I don't really know what Doug Peterson is expecting. Maybe the ownership games and look here. We've seen enough of Carson. His confidence is shaken. You need to put someone else in there. Maybe that's the route they want to go for the time being, Skip. But I don't see any. I haven't seen enough from Jalen Hurts, even from college, Skip. He's never faced anything like this. He's never faced it. He never. It's like I said, Skip. If they could run the football, you said, okay, we're gonna run the football. We're gonna shorten the game. But Skip, they can't run the football. Okay, well, we got some great guys. We're gonna get the ball, put the ball in their hand, let them make plays. Who? What? How? And it seems to me the weapon that Wentz was most confident in, Zach Ertz, had a problem with Howie Roseman and not getting his contract done. He was out for 6 weeks, and so the security blanket that he once had was no longer there because Dallas Goedert came back and he started to build a rapport with him. But, Skip, Skip, this is the Big 12. Guys are not going to be running scot-free. He's not going to have those lanes to run, take off and run, and get 100 yards rushing like he did at Oklahoma. Skip, I just don't know what the Saints have given up 2 touchdowns in the last 5 games.
They are on fire on defense.
Let that sink in.
They've been the best defense in football for four weeks,
yeah,
5 weeks maybe.
I get it, Skip.
Yep.
I'm gonna say the Broncos, given what they had a guy that was selling vacuum cleaners just a couple of days before playing quarterback. I get that, so I'm gonna throw that one out. But they played some other teams. You saw what they did to Tom Brady?
And Matt Ryan.
And Matt Ryan. Skip, Tom Brady can still play at a high level. Matt Ryan can still play at a high level. And they made those guys look very, very mundane, very pedestrian.
Made them look pathetic, both of them.
So I don't really know what they expect. I'm not expecting much. Maybe you're expecting a little more than I am.
He did get thrown, Jalen got thrown into the frozen fire up on the frozen tundra last week. That's the closest thing to any kind of degree of difficulty, unless you want to go back to our rookie year here on this show, 2016. Remember Alabama at LSU?
Yes.
In fact, it was the first bet you won from me on this show. Do you remember this?
Yeah, because you had Leonard Fournette.
Yep, and you had Jamal Adams on your defense, LSU.
Yeah.
And do you remember what Jalen Hurts did? No, I'm sorry, I picked LSU. That's right. And Jalen, mid-4th quarter, he just finally said, I got this.
He took off.
And he just took off right up the middle and went like 60 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that's the closest in degree of difficulty.
Right.
That was at LSU, right? Okay. Not only is he up against the defense that has allowed the fewest yards in the league the whole year, for all the reasons you just stated, but it really bothered me what Fletcher Cox said this week and then what Jason Kelce said this week, because those are 2 captains of what's left of the Eagles. And they're 2 decorated players. Just if for people who don't know, Fletcher Cox has made 5 Pro Bowls. And he
about to be 6.
Yeah, he's on the all-decade team. And Jason Kelce has made 3 Pro Bowls. He's a veteran mainstay. He's a stalwart for them. And both of them spoke out and up for Carson Wentz this week. And it was hard on this kid, I'm sure.
It is. It's tough.
Hey, but
because he didn't do anything wrong, Skip. All he happened to do, y'all drafted me here. I didn't come here on my own. They inserted me. It wasn't like I was campaigning for the job. It's just the other guy. So you put Jalen Hurts in a very uncomfortable situation by speaking out like that.
Fletcher Cox publicly voted on a poll by hitting like for Carson over Jalen.
Right.
And then when he was asked about it, he owned it to his credit, and he said that Carson is my best friend. He's my guy. I've had his back since day one.
Yeah.
And then Jason Kelce went further about how that Carson Wentz transformed this offense when he took over as a rookie and going into his second year, obviously. He said not just as a player, but as a person. His intelligence, his athleticism had a tangible effect on us.
Right.
You love him.
Yeah.
I've always been not so sure. But Jason Kelce's final line was, it's hard to believe we're at where we're at with this, because there was that stretch, he was in the MVP conversation.
He was.
Right?
Yeah.
In
Because he was
2017.
at that point in time, I think he was 11-2, Skip.
Yep, okay. So not only does Jalen Hurts have those two up against him, no fair, no good, but yesterday, if we could see this, or I think it might have been 2 days ago, that he did his big media session. And if we could see what Jalen Hurts had on, here we go. It's a Houston Astros hat, because he's from the Houston area where his father's a high
Oh, you
school
can't do that in
coach.
Philly, Skip.
Hey, I'm just saying, he wore that. And what is that a symbol of now? As that team is now branded as the all-time cheaters in the history of sports,
Yes.
right? They're the ultimate villains. They are the worst of the bad guys,
They're
right?
the White Sox. They're the 19...
They are the Black Sox,
Black
right?
Sox, yeah.
Okay. So he wore this hat, and I got to tell you, it wasn't PR savvy, but I've told you from the start, I love what the kid's made of, what he's built of. He just doesn't care. He's going to represent his hometown. I'm sure he grew up an Astros fan, and he just said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, Skip, but you know what? Those fans, because the first time he makes a mistake, guess what's coming? Well, nothing's coming, because their fans are not there. But can you imagine if the
Well,
fans...
there's still this thing called social media.
They would, Skip, they'd have booed the brakes off him.
Yep.
Any bad thing happened, the Philly fans seems like they're almost ready to boo more than cheer when you do something good or bad. I just think the thing in that situation, you just come out there, even if you don't even like the Phillies, put on the Phillies like, I'm all in. I'm a Philly guy. And I said this, Skip, from day one, when they drafted the kid and we came out here, I said, Skip, they just created a problem they didn't have to have. They created this. Doug Peterson, Howard Roseman, whoever drafted this kid in the second round, you created Frankenstein when all you had to do was be working on a car.
Yep.
And you created something that didn't need to be. And now you got your hands full, because here it is, Skip. You've been working on this, and there it is.
Okay, but I think they created their future, because I believe in this young man. I believe in his football character, in his winner's intangibles, in his playmaking. We saw glimpses of it at Green Bay last Sunday. He's quicker than he looks. He's extremely strong for his 225 pounds. And he has a better arm than you think, and a more accurate arm than you think. He scored 52 touchdowns a year ago for the Oklahoma Sooners. Big 12, I give you, but 32 touchdown passes and 20 by land.
Are you going to change the entire offense to fit his skill set, or are you still going to have him doing what Wentz did?
I don't think you have to change it that much, because I do not consider him a pure running quarterback. They didn't call that many runs for him, but he will run. And maybe you can say to a fault that it's that fine line between read it out,
Right.
make sure, at least go to your second read before you take off, and then go. At Oklahoma, he perfected that. But when he goes, when he needs to make a play, or when they need a play on 3rd and 5 and they call a quarterback draw, he is highly capable of making those kind of plays, because he will, again, you can talk about his longevity, how long will he last, Cam-esque, but he will run through the proverbial brick wall to get a first down.
Skip, if we look at quarterbacks that thrived in the Big 12, look at Kyler, and look at Kyler's looked at the second half. Look at Baker Mayfield. He was the #1 pick in the draft. Even Charlie White says, if I had the #1 pick, I would take this kid. He's a glorified game manager right now.
Well, I think he's been way better than that.
No.
The last 5 games.
No,
6 games.
the last 2 games. Skip, in the last 6 games, he's only throwing touchdowns in 2 of them. Now, there were 4 touchdowns that he threw against Tennessee and 2 the game before.
Wait, over the 6 games since Odell, isn't he up to like 11 touchdowns and 1 interception?
I don't know about all that.
I think so.
No.
I think he is.
No, because they're winning games. Skip, here's the thing. When they can run the football with Chubb Rock and Kareem Hunt, they're a different ball club.
Okay, I got it. So, obviously, this kid is up against it. He's from that lineage. We went Heisman Trophy, near. He finished second. Okay. And yet, to me, on just bedrock character, I think he will go out and perform well. again, what do I expect? I just expect this much. He will play better against New Orleans than Carson Wentz would have played against New Orleans.
No, that's good. We don't do better.
Well,
we do wins and losses. It's qualified as wins and losses.
Okay, but I have to remind Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey that your man Carson leads the league by far in interceptions and turnovers and has been sacked by far the most and has the lowest completion percentage in all of football. So, again, I think he's looking like a bust because he has lost all confidence in himself, even though those two captains have not lost faith in him.
I think the biggest thing is, Skip, is that they look around at the team and they know the team hasn't done him any favors. Those guys know. They see it in practice and they see what he's throwing to. You might say, well, these guys are coming along, but Greg Ward Jr. was a practice squad guy. He hasn't arrived yet. Fulgham has had a game here or there, but he hasn't arrived yet. He's missed Zach Ertz for 6 weeks. Dallas Goedert was out. Miles Sanders was hurt. And then when he's back in the ball game, Doug Peterson refused
but
the
all
dog
those
runs.
guys are back.
Yes.
They're back.
But, Skip, you make it seem like that's Tyreek Hill that's back. You make it seem like that's Devontae Adams that's back. That's not what he has.
All I know is all year I'd chalked up a big W at Jerry World, my team, over your Carson Wentz Eagles, and now I don't know. Jalen Hurts scares me. I'm going to have a hard time. It's going to be hard.